So it's based on if you believe in the goals that you have set for yourself. The determination is one of the biggest factors that determine what kind of success you're going to have. So Carter G. Woodson and them went around and they started discovering things, and they said it needs to be put before the American people. So whenever you make a determination what goes in the history book and what does not go in there, that's a political decision. It becomes political. So when I was an 8th grade student in a predominantly white setting, we were studying about the Civil War, they never talked about blacks at all. I never knew so many blacks had participated in it. I learned it on my own, even going to a black college, because they used the textbooks that everybody else was using and it wasn't in the books. So what we aim to do when we are talking about celebrating Black American history or African American History Month is putting those things back into, or putting them into the pages of history. So we look at all aspects of our lives. When we look at it, there is no aspect of the American experience that blacks have not been a part of. No aspect. Even from the very, very beginning, all of the stories about George Washington, African Americans were in the boats with him when he slept at Valley Forge, when he crossed the Lexington. All of those battles, they were there, but it wasn't in the book. They whitewashed that out of the book. So today what we get to do is we get to put it back in the book. So we started out celebrating a week. In 1976, it came to a month. And because of this celebration, we have Hispanic Heritage Celebration in September and October. We have Women History Month in March. We have Asian History in May. We have Native American history in February, all because of this. So all of this good has come out of this celebration. So today, I am extremely, extremely proud to be able to present to the Pasco-Hernando State College Porter campus one of the great Americans, truly a spokesman, a womanist who fought in the 1800s for rights for women. A one who demonstrated about determination. When I was just reading about Frederick Douglass and how he learned to read and the power of learning to read. How many of y'all like to read? Okay, now y'all got more hands got to go up now. So next time when I come back and I ask how many of y'all like to read, I want more of them hands to come up. Because when you find out what Frederick Douglass did by learning how to read, and to be able to advise a president and to serve as an ambassador just based on learning how to read. And then learning how to speak. So Mr. Donald Dowridge will present Mr. Frederick Douglass.
Thank you, good doctor. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
There you go. Before I go into my monologue, I'd like to share with you the fact that, believe it or not, I am gracious, humble to be here this morning. Second of all, I am currently celebrating 10 years. I got to do like a little child. 10 years as Frederick Douglass. So it's an honor to portray this giant. A lot of times I get the question, am I kin? Was Mr. Douglass my great-great-great-great-grandfather? Well, I'm going to be honest with you because I am a realist. If it wasn't for cell phones and computers, I would say yes. But since we have cell phones and computers, I'm just going to go ahead on and be honest and say, no, I am not kin to Frederick Douglass. But I will share with you 5 years ago, when having my hair done, blown out, and I do apologize not having time to blow it out this morning, but I guess this will do. I looked in the mirror, and I was so amazed at what I saw, it scared me half to death. When I saw myself looking exactly like Mr. Douglass. So since then, I've gone on the road, and I tell you, it has truly been a blessing, and it is a blessing to be here this morning. So I bow to you again, sir. So what I'm going to give to you this morning, I am going to give you about an hour of the life and times of Frederick Douglass. I stole these hands, and I stole these feet, because as a slave, we do not know our birth date, we do not know our age, nor do we know our names. They say I was born on the Tuckahoe in Western Maryland by the Hillsborough on a farm, one of the biggest farms in Western Maryland or Eastern Maryland, the Lord's farm, the Lord's plantation. On the Lord's plantation, they had 500 slaves. 500, it was the largest plantation. They didn't even have to go out to commission, because they had all the slaves, all the work that they needed done, it was right there. They say my mother, Harriet Bailey, they say she would run 12 miles every 3 days through the woods with no shoes on to come see me. Now, I got a very few looking at my mother. However, but when she would come, she would pick me up and she would rock me. And she would sing to me, her little Valentine. And that's what we came up with, February the 14th, 1818, the date of my birth, for what I remember. Going on, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, Betty Bailey. Well, I remember when my grandmother, we went on a long walk. It seemed like 100 miles. And when we got to this house, she told me, she said, Freddie, go out and play. I don't want to go. Go out and play. I don't want to go. So what I did, I went with the other kids and I just sat there because I didn't want to play. And my little brother came to me and he said, Freddie, Grandma's gone. And I said, no, she isn't. Yes, she is. So you know what I did? I got up and I ran to see, was Grandma gone? She was gone. But as I look back, she took me to that house to protect me from further pain. Well, they say my dad, my father, they say his name was Aaron Anthony. They called him Captain. Captain Anthony. The reason they called him Captain because he had a sailboat. And I'll be honest with you, to this day, I'm yet to see a black man with a sailor's hat and a boat. As a child, we were given one pair of pants and one shirt, one pair of shoes for the men, for the women, one dress. And would you believe they had to wear that a whole year? And for us kids, we just got a gown. And if we outgrew that gown, that was it. I recall mealtime where maybe we had a seashell that we would use to scoop up our food, or we just scooped it up with our hands. One night, while sleeping, I heard this whining and crying noise. And I got up to remove myself from the family as we were squashed together so we can get that heat. But I managed to run, and as I ran, I looked around the corner, and I see Massa. Massa beating my Aunt Hester. My Aunt Hester strung up like such, and he's beating her. And the screams that she was letting out, it scared me. And I heard him say, I told you not to be messing with that Ned over there on that other plantation. Ned was her friend. they were supposed to do. You know, the funniest thing, they say Master was my father. He had a daughter named Lucretia Ard. She didn't know that I was her little brother. But for some reason, she would treat me with kindness. Maybe it was just in the genes. I don't know. But what the other slaves didn't get, I managed to get from Miss Lucretia. Well, one day, maybe about 7, 8 years old, she called me. She said, Freddie, come to the big house. Yes'm, I was coming. She said, you're going to take a bath. Now, can you imagine? 7 years of my life, I never took a clean bath. My bath was down in the pond where they fed their animals, etc., etc. But this day was my lucky day because I get to go in the big house and go up on the 2nd floor and get into a nice, fresh, clean tub of water. And I have you know, when I got in that tub of water, I stayed in there for a long time. Miss Lucretia came in there, Frederick, what you doing up there? I was bathing. You've been in there for an hour already. And when I got out that tub, believe it or not, she gave me my first pair of pants, my first shirt, and a pair of what? Shoes. And she took me downstairs and she put me on the back of the carriage. And off to Baltimore we went. And when we got to that front door of that home, there were 3 people standing outside there. There was Miss Sophia, Master Heward, and their little son, Tommy. Now I have you know that Master Heward was the brother of Thomas Ard. There was a tie-in there. But to any avail, when I got off that carriage and I started walking down, see back then, see us slaves, we couldn't look at white people in the face. So as I got closer, I put my head down. And as I got there, I saw the 3 feet right there, 3 set of feet. The one in the middle was Miss Sophia. And she said, Freddie, look at me. And I'm thinking to myself, that lady want me to get killed. I ain't gonna look at her. So all of a sudden, when I got closer, I could feel her in my face. And she took the hand and she put it under my chin and she lifted my face up. While I'm coming up as such. And she's like, Freddie, open your eyes. And I'm still thinking, this lady trying to get me killed. So all of a sudden, I open my eyes such as. And I could see her big blue eyes and the rosy cheeks and the big teeth as she was smiling in my face. And she said, welcome home, Freddie. And then Master Heward, he stood in the way. Frederick, you're here to take care of Tommy. You understand? Yes, Master. I was here to take care of Tommy. So as time went on, I let you know that Miss Sophia was not supposed to. However, when she was reading, because she had issues reading, she would pull me in and sit me on the couch. Miss Sophia didn't treat me like a slave. She treated me like a son. She gave me plenty of love. So I would sit there and she would be reading to me and she would make me read after her A, B, C. And then this one exciting day, the door opened up and it was Master Heward. And he said, Miss Sophia, don't you teach those little boys how to read. You teach them how to read, then they're going to want to escape. And she says, but Hugh, I didn't know. Well, now you know. Don't teach them how to read. He comes to me. I put my head down. And he says, Freddie, you're not here to read. Now, if I catch you reading, there's going to be some trouble. You understand me? Yes, Master, I's not going to read. I hate reading, Master. I'm never going to read. That came out my mouth. In my head, I couldn't wait to get my hands on Tommy's books. Because Tommy went to school. And when Tommy would come home with those books and he'd go up to the room and the family would go out on an outing, yes, sir, you better believe I was up in that room reading me some books. And one day they came in, Frederick, where are you? Where are you? And I ran to the top of the steps so they could see me. You up there reading? No, Master, I was not reading. Get on down here. You know I was up there reading. So by the time I got 14, 15, 16 years old, I'm big, I'm bronzed, I got muscles. And now all of a sudden Master said, you know, I noticed the vocabulary on Frederick. It has begun to change. I think we need to send him out. But before I go out, let me go back. Master used to send me to the store. And he used to pay me to go to the store. Question to you all, how much you think Master paid me to go to the store? Anybody want to take a guess? Who said a penny?
A penny.
A penny, that's right. And I would go to the store and get that penny. I would also, before I leave the house, I'd run to the kitchen. I'd run to the kitchen and I'll get bread and I'll squash it up and I'll put it in my pocket. Then I'll skip to the store. And guess who was at the store? They were hungry people at the store. White boys that were hungry. I was hungry, they was hungry. So when I got to the store, I would go challenge them. And I would say, I bet you don't know how to spell hat. Oh, Freddie, we know how to spell hat. Well, spell it then, since you know how to spell it. Well, they spell it, H-A-T. And I said, that ain't how you spell it. Spell it again, H-A-T. Well, after 3 times of spelling, it went from my frontal lobe to my long-term memory. Eyes were smart. So I would pay them with bread. So every time I went to the store, Master would pay me a penny. I saved those pennies. And eventually, when I felt I had enough pennies, well, I went and got me my first book, The Columbian Order. The Columbian Order was a book that is full of speeches from great ones such as George Washington, great ones, Thomas Jefferson, great ones, Edgar Allan Poe, and the list goes on and on. And I would read verbatim to learn how to speak, learn how to use vocabulary to my favor. Well, back to the point, Massa said that Frederick is too smart. We're going to send him off. They sent me off. They sent me to Master Corvée. Master Corvée was a slave breaker. I'm 16 years old. And I have you know, I got to come down here. I meant to bring this up on stage with me. But Massa, the first day I was there, he whipped me. And when I walked on that plantation, I was walking like this with my head down. 6 months later, I'm walking like this, because he done broke a wild stallion. Well, I heard there were 2 white slave owners. I was out by the ocean, by the Chesapeake Bay, just thinking about my life and saying to myself, I was going to be a slave for life. My life is over. And all of a sudden, here come these 2 slave owners come by and they say, hey, boy. I say, yes, sir. What do you be doing right now? I just standing here. And then I heard one of the slave owners tell the other one, say, you know, he's a handsome young man. And right then, the other one says to me, you should escape. You should go north. That's what you should do. And quite naturally, it registered in my head, but then I said, escape? I'll be dead before I leave the plantation. They probably trying to set me up. So, all of a sudden, that was some motivation to me. So I went from here to here. So when I get back to the plantation, Massa, he comes to me, and he's whipping me. So all of a sudden, he kicked me in my side, so I left. I ran. I went back to Master Huard. I said, Master, get me out of there. They're killing me. He said, Frederick, you must go back. You're going to be there for a year. You got 6 more months. So Miss Sophia, she paused. And then she said, let Frederick stay here for the night. So I stayed there for the night. It was Friday night. Saturday morning, downstairs, that smell was going up in my nostrils. What smell, you may ask? Breakfast. And when I came down the stairwell, they were having eggs, bacon, flapjacks, pancakes, and for some of y'all that don't know, all right, and coffee and tea. So when I went down, I put my hand on the chair, and Master said, what are you doing? So I had to leave. So when I get back to the plantation, and I'm getting ready to go over the fence, who's coming with a whip? Master Corvée. I took that right leg, and I ran, not to be seen for another day. I said, I'll try it again. The next day, I go back the same day. Same thing. I run, but this time, there's a free slave, a free black man that lives out in the woods with his wife. He summons me. I go to him. I stayed with him overnight. And he says, Frederick, come go with me. I'm going to show you something. So we go out in the woods. He starts digging like a little doggy. All of a sudden he gets deep enough, he pulls up a rabbit foot. And he says, Frederick, you take this rabbit foot and you put it in your right pocket, I guarantee you, that mean old master will never touch you again. I'm like, I don't believe in no superstition. He said, all right, well go ahead on back there and get a whipping. I believe in superstition. I took it and I put it in my pocket. And when I went back, it was Sunday morning when I got back and I put my leg over that chair, here he come. But then clean out the barn. And I'm like, I'm puzzled. I'm like, wow, the rabbit foot did work. So he said, I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I take the rest of the day off. Monday morning, I'm in the stall, cleaning the stall. And all of a sudden, the door opened. It's Massa. But Massa got a whip in his hand. And he lashes out. And it ties around my leg. And I managed to, just that quick, bend down, and I grabbed it, and I wrapped it around my wrist. And I started putting Massa to me. And we started battling. We battled for exactly 2 hours. Massa paused, and he said, Frederick, you must want me to kill you today. I said, Master, I guess you won't kill me because you ain't going to beat me no more. And all of a sudden, there was another slave walking by, and he called and said, Robert, get in here and get Frederick. So he came in, and I said, Robert, if you touch me. And he went to touch me. I kicked him. He went back out. The other slave came by, and he looked in, and he said, you know what? That's your problem, Master. I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's Frederick. And the last person was a young lady. She was barreling. And Master said, come here and get Frederick. Now, if she would have came and put her hands on me, she would have beat me for sure. That's how big she was. She would have beat me. So when she came and she looked and she said, Master, you didn't bring me here for that. That's you and Freddie. So in the midst of me fighting with Master, I managed to go, boy, I'm glad she didn't come over here. So when it was all said and done, the question to you all, who got up and who stayed down?
Freddie got up.
Frederick got up, I got up, and Master stayed down. Would you believe 2 days later, Master come to me and he said, Frederick, you lucky I didn't beat you, because I was going to beat you something what? And I said to myself, sure, Master, you don't want none of this. You don't want none of this no more. So I had to stay there for another 6 months. But I will share with you this, that when Master was beating the other slaves, even though he did not touch me, it was painful to me. It was upsetting to my stomach to see all my brothers and sisters getting whipped like they did for minor things. Not big, but minor. So anyway, after the end of my tenure there, they moved me to another master's home, Master Freeman, and on this plantation, I had more freedom to roam and do what I wished to do. And the number one thing that I wished to do, what I did do, I would gather slaves, sometimes up to the numbers of 50 of them. And we would be in the backwoods, and I would be teaching them how to read. But in the midst of it, there was one slave that I called Judas. Judas ran back and told Master that Frederick is out there teaching them slaves how to read. So one day while we were out there having reading lessons, here they come through the door of Masters with their sticks and with their bricks, and they beating us, and they arrested me, and they took me to jail. But I have you know, when they took me to jail, that was the biggest favor they did to me. Because when I got in that jail, there was a nice cot waiting on me. When I got in that jail, there was a shower waiting on me. And most importantly, there were 3 good meals waiting on me in that jail. That's right. So when Master Huard came and got me, took me back to the plantation, he taught me a trade, a carpet trade. So he allowed me to go out and sell my trade, which I did. When I first started out, I was making $6 a week. Now you all know I had to go and take that whole $6 and give it to my master. I went and gave him that whole $6. And guess how much he gave me out of the 6? Anybody want to take a guess? Who? Nope. Nope. One more. Penny? No. How about 6 cents? Ooh, I got a raise. He gave me 6 cents out of that $6. Well, he continued to allow me to go out and sell my trade. So what I did, I wound up getting another job. This job was paying me how much? $10 a week. Well, I didn't steal that education for nothing. I want you to know that. All right, because what I would do, I would go back and I would give Master $6 and I'll keep the $4. And not only that, Master decided to give me a raise. That's right, from 6 cents, what do you think he gave me to? Where did we go up to on the scale? From 6 cents to what? No. No, give me one more. 12 cents, we're getting close. 15. 15, do I get a 15 over here? I get a 16, 17. with 25 cents. But he didn't know I was keeping how much? $4. Because that $4 is going to come in handy pretty soon. So eventually, when I say pretty soon, that $4 did come in handy because I saved it up until September the 3rd, 1818, and when I was at the age of 20 years old. And by this time, I had met a beautiful young lady who was a free slave. Her name is Anna Mary. She's on the board, as a matter of fact, right back there. There go my sweetheart. Hey, baby. Right? So, she wound up giving me a sailor suit, red shirt, white pants, and a fake ID. And on September the 3rd, I made my plan. And I acted out my plan. I got on that train heading north. And when I got on the train, I got to share this with you. I sat down, nervous, and you see I'm perspiring. But when I got on that train, I was soaking wet. And I sat there. And I could hear the train conductor coming up behind me. There were 3 black men sitting on the other side of the aisle behind me. And I could see, and I could hear him, the train conductor, coming closer. Tickets! Ticket, ticket, tickets! And when he got to the 3 black men, I hear him saying, "Where's your ticket at? You belong on this train? You better have your tickets or else I'm turning you in." And I can hear them, "That's master. We got our tickets, master." Because quite naturally, I'm starting to get really nervous now. So when he gets to me, unbeknownst to me, he gets to me and he says, "Sir, do you have your ticket?" And I'm like, wow, pause for a second. Wow. So all of a sudden, like I said, I had this fake pass. And the fake pass just had a little eagle on it. And he says, and I said, "No, I do not have a pass." He said, "Why you don't have a pass?" I said, "Because when I go back to base, I very seldom have my pass or ID with me." He said, "Oh, well, do you have something indicating you're in the military?" So I took it out. And I just showed it to him like that. He's standing here, but I showed it to him like that. All right? Because I know if I would have showed it like that, I was going back to slavery. So I showed it like that. So he couldn't see. So he said, "All right, I want you to sit here and be quiet and don't say anything." So when he left, whoo, I wiped my brow and I was quieter than a mouse on Christmas morning. I didn't say anything. And then when we got to New York, we went past Harmony Grace. We went past Philadelphia, and it took us 24 hours to get to New York. And when we got to New York, I have you know, I was amazed. Because of what I saw, it just took me to a loop, because I've never seen anything like this before in my life. What did I see? I saw young men dressed up in nice black suits with tall hats. And when they walked across women in the path, they would take their hats off and they would bow to the women. Now, let me come out of character just to come back to me, Donald Dowridge. And because of that, believe it or not, to this day, when I approach a lady, woman, young girl, or what have you, that's what I do. I bow to them. They laugh at me and think something crazy, but I let them know. Open your books and understand what a gentleman is all about. Anyway, back in character. So to any avail, I'm looking and I'm seeing these gentlemen walking down, like I said, with the tall hats, and ladies walk by, and I see these women, these ladies, you know, whether they're black or white, they walking. And you know, back then they had the dresses where you couldn't see anything. They had them way out here like this, and the shirts on, you couldn't see anything. Everything was hid, all right? So, much respect to them back in the days. But anyway, all right? So, I would see signs. There were signs on poles, and the pole on the sign says, "Slaves, runaway slaves, $50. Runaway slaves, $100. Runaway slaves, $500. So that scared me. So I made sure that I stayed out of the way and undercover. And I ran into this one black guy who was a lawyer. I didn't trust him for one bit. But he invited me to his home. You know I was nervous. I was scared. I was thinking it might was a setup. And he allowed me to stay in his home for 3 days. In the course of me staying there for 3 days, what I didn't tell you in the beginning, allow me to tell you right now. Frederick, Augustus, Washington, Bailey. That was my name, my birth name. Well, within the 3 days of me staying at this man's home in New York, we changed all that. It went from all that to Frederick Johnson. But I didn't like Johnson. You know why I didn't like Johnson? Because I got a feeling right here in this audience, there's someone out here with a last name Johnson. And everywhere I go, there's tons of Johnsons. That's why I'm coming out of character and going back to me. I'm glad I'm a Dowridge. But anyway, All right, so we changed it to Frederick Johnson, and on the third day when I came downstairs, guess who was sitting downstairs in the living room awaiting my arrival? Take a guess. No. Take one more guess. No. One more, this is the last one. Who? That woman, that's right. My sweetheart, Anna, was sitting there awaiting my arrival. And upon me coming downstairs and getting myself together, we were married right there in New York. And the gentleman who allowed us to stay there, he said, now Frederick, you must go north. So we packed up and we left and we landed in New Bedford, Massachusetts. And we got a nice home. I was so amazed, but we wound up getting a nice home. I started working 4 and 5 jobs to support us. Well, I heard about this abolitionist meeting, anti-slavery meeting that was taking place. So I would go there at times. And while sitting there, listening in the back, minding my business, a gentleman walked up. And he said, Frederick, I know you. You're that runaway slave. And I'm like, not me. Not me. He said, yes. We heard about you. You heard about me? He said, yes. The gentleman, William Lord Garrison, he wrote about you in the Liberator. The Liberator? Yes, that's a newspaper. And he just happened to have one. Papel. And then he showed me the picture of me in it. And I'm like, yes, I'm Frederick. Yes, I'm Frederick. Well, he took me and he introduced me to William Lord Garrison. Mr. Garrison, Frederick, how are you? How are you, sir? He said, Frederick, I would like for you to get up and speak. Sir, I do not have valid education. I do not have any education from an institution of your will, sir. He said, don't worry about it. I know you'll be good at this. And at this time, I was about 23 years old. So I get up and I go up to the podium and I start talking. I held the audience for exactly 1 hour. Everybody in that audience, I must say, were white. When I got finished, that whole audience stood up and gave me a standing ovation, even though there were some in the audience that did not believe that I was a slave because they said I talk too proper. So Mr. Garrison even told me, he said, Frederick, you got to change your little language a little bit because people don't believe that you're a slave. I said, well, I can't help it, sir.